Well, I never thought I'd see the day. Of all the costs I want you to look at, can you ever imagine a time when I told you to seriously think about cancelling your Salon software? And no, I'm not asking you to go back to pen and paper, but it might be time to have a really close look at exactly what your software's doing.
All on Build Your Salon.
Hello, my salon friends. Phil Jackson here, your queen of salons, coming all over the airwaves with another dose of my wise owl wisdom. How on earth are you? Achingly well, I hope, as always. And here we are, steaming through December, heading towards Father Christmas land. 8th of December, I've got this episode coming out, and I'm very pleased with myself. I've got some really good feedback on the new format of the show, where we've stopped doing longer episodes, doing more episodes, but a lot shorter, and it seems to be going down very well. If you haven't told me how it's going, maybe give your Uncle Phil an early Christmas present and leave me a 5-star review on the podcast. It really would make my day to see some reviews coming through, and it helps people discover the podcast a lot more easily. This episode brought to you today by one of my own programs. It's brought to you by Salon Spark. And Salon Spark is for those of you who know what to do. You're just not doing it. It's an implementation problem because Salon Spark gives you weekly accountability plus a monthly goal-setting clarity call with me and a group of salon owners who will help you celebrate your wins and keep you honest. And this month, you can join and get your first month of Salon Spark for just £1. Check it out at buildyoursalon.com. I'd love to be welcoming you into the best group of salon owners on earth. So what are we talking about today? Well, today we're talking about salon software, and I'm actually going to encourage some of you to be cancelling your salon software. Who ever thought I would see the day? Well, let me put some caveats on there. Let me put a little bit of small print in the mix for you, darling, because of course I'm not telling you to go old school and start looking at pen and paper systems. But here's what's happening. I think we're seeing a bit of a catch up from things like Google Calendar to the stage where it can now do an awful lot of the things that we expect our salon software to do. And I think that means that particularly for some of you smaller businesses, some of you self-employed people who only have to worry about one column, I actually don't know whether you need to be paying for salon software at all. I know, shock, horror. Well, let's have a look at what you might be missing out on if you went from salon software over to using something like one of the calendar apps or Google Calendar. Well, one of the things that you might think you're missing out on is reporting. Thing is, we don't need your salon software necessarily to be taking payments. We can be running our payment processing separately, and we could be getting our reporting from our payments provider instead. So all of that financial information we can analyze on the payments platform. We don't need to do it inside our salon software. Okay, Uncle Phil, but what about something like our retention reports? What about our marketing reports? What about if we have if we want to run a marketing campaign, let's say for people that haven't visited for a certain amount of time? Where are we going to get that information from, Uncle Phil? Well, I think that this is where AI could be your friend, because we've got some really interesting opportunities, I think, where we could start exporting data or getting AI to analyze our calendars for us to see where people are coming in and spending their time and spending their money. So if we got AI to analyze our appointment statistics, we could get very similar information to what we get from our salon software. Suddenly, salon software is starting to look a little bit overpriced in an awful lot of instances. Now, there is a caveat to that, of course. If you are using salon software and using so many of its features that it means that you don't have to worry about employing a receptionist in your business, I am all over it. Of course, it will be a cost that is crazy for you to cut. If your salon software has features where it's actually adding something to your business, Well, I think we can justify that cost as well. But how can Salon software actually add something to your business? Well, I'm going to take you back to an interview that I did earlier in the year with our friends over at Booko. And if you remember, Booko was launching and leading the way with dynamic pricing. So basically, what that means is that Booko will analyze your calendar and it will start to spot the times that are more difficult for you to fill, and it will give you the option to start discounting some of those slots to make sure your utilization increases. Also, separately, if you want to, you could introduce surge pricing, so it could analyze those slots that fill up the first, and you could start charging a premium for some of those slots. And I said that if I was starting a salon from scratch again, I would be looking at dynamic pricing and memberships. That will be the only two models that I run in my business. Now, I can't do something like dynamic pricing, whether you're going to be discounting or surge pricing. I can't do that with something like Google Calendar. It's just not sophisticated enough. So that's an example of Salon software adding something to my business. It's bringing a function, it's bringing some utilization into the business that would not be there otherwise. Then I think absolutely it's okay for us to be paying for Salon software, though actually Booko's free. We just pay through some of the money that's put through the system. But I personally, unless your Salon software is adding something like that, I think it's an expense that we could look at cutting. I know this is a bit like biting the hand that feeds me, because I have an awful lot of Salon software companies that have been very good to my business over the years. But that said, none of them are doing anything for me right now, so stuff it, mate, on the run up to Christmas. Nobody's sponsoring my podcast. No one's giving me any money for anything. So this might be the time for a harsh dose of honesty and reality. I don't think Salon software is doing nearly enough to justify the money that we're spending. I think margins are so tight that if we can save a bit of cash on Salon software, we should absolutely look at doing it. So shop around, have a little look. My first go-to would be Google Calendar. It's easy to use, easy to implement across a team as well. If you decide you're going to start paying for Google, of course, you start getting Google Gemini included, which means you're getting the higher version of an AI model for you to play with too. Then if not, I would start looking at a piece of software called TidyCal. TidyCal, if you've ever used Calendly for scheduling, TidyCal is a little bit like that, but it's a lifetime license. You pay once, get to use it forever. I use that for all of my coaching calls, and you can attach payments to certain services as well. If not, give my friends over at Booko a little call as well. I'm sure they'd love to hear from you and would love to show you through the software. You can get as many demos as you like, my darling. It doesn't mean you've got to start spending any money with anybody. So there we go. And we're going to make this another Money Monday. Money Monday might turn into a thing. Shall I start making Money Monday a thing? Reach out and let me know. Phil@buildyoursalon.com. I'd love to hear from you anyway. Also, don't forget my Christmas review. If you've been listening for a while and haven't done one yet, you owe me. Come on. Throw me a bone on the run up to Christmas. Also, reach out with any suggestions for future podcast episodes. I'd love to hear what you actually want me to be talking about rather than me guessing what's going on in your business. And reach out if you'd like to be interviewed for a podcast episode in 2026. I'd love to be sharing your story with my Build Your Salon listeners. Don't forget to head over to buildyoursalon.com for the deal on Salon Spark. I'd love to be welcoming you into my Salon Spark group. Honestly, you have never met a bunch of salon owners like it. They are just some of my favorite people on earth, and it might just be what you need to keep you on track in 2026. Just a few days until I'm coming all over the airwaves again with another dose of my wise owl wisdom, and until then, take care.
All on Build Your Salon.